Good morning. Welcome to the Tuesday live stream, Tuesday, February 17th. How's it going? Happy deployment day to those who celebrate. And what do I mean by that? I mean that today we are deploying our new build called Scenic. So here we are. Welcome. If you're new here, my name is Angela. I am a front-end developer and a software engineer in St. Paul, Minnesota. And on this channel, we just build stuff with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. It's all vanilla all the time. No frameworks, no libraries, just because I enjoy the process of building vanilla. That's all. And something new that I started doing here in the last few months is incorporating more DevOps content into my channel, because I think, and it's great that we have all of these one-click deployment solutions, but I'm sort of finding out that new front-end developers don't really have the DevOps experience that I got 10 years ago learning to manage a cloud server. And since we build static, there's no better way to learn a cloud server than to spin up a little VPS, virtual private server. That's what we called it back in the day. I think that you could still call it that now. I personally love DigitalOcean. Oh shit, I forgot to open up DigitalOcean, and okay, that's fine. We can do all of that. It's completely fine, because here's what I did remember to do. I remembered last night to write instructions for a virtual host and adding a subdomain. We've actually done this a couple times already on this channel, but I had never officially written down the process. If you're interested, I have this link right here. I'll put it in the chat. This is a GitHub repo that I made going through the three things that we've done so far, which is a fresh LAMP stack. LAMP is Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP, and then using rsync to deploy from local to remote. This is specifically for Mac or Linux users. rsync is not native on Windows, although per Malik Robinson, Go Elmo Go, you can absolutely install, I think, like a Unix shell, something. Malik, put that in the chat for me if you remember the correct verbiage. You could also, I have another one though for secure FTP, SFTP, basically just using FileZilla. For Windows users or anybody else who likes to use FileZilla, which I have to tell you, I hadn't used FileZilla in years. It's so stinking easy to use. I mean, especially if you're just deploying a static website, it's so easy. So I highly recommend learn all the ways to get your stuff from local to remote. That's my advice. And since we're just doing vanilla static stuff here, we're going to take the easiest, simplest approach that are still, in my opinion, rock solid for deployment. And of course, we're going to continue to observe best practices like Git and version control and all of those things too. So I made this last night specifically for virtual hosts. Now, I haven't actually tested this, so we're going to go through this entire process today, step by step, and then I will edit as needed. I don't think I got anything wrong here. We'll go ahead and use FileZilla again. And yeah, we'll just walk through this entire process. Like I said, we've already done this a couple of times. We're going to update the DNS settings for our domain. We're going to create a subdomain. We're going to create a virtual host on an Apache droplet that already exists. So the droplet that already exists is this practicelayouts.com. And there isn't anything here, but we do have subdomains. So we have, this is our last build, coffee.practicelayouts.com. And then we also have, I think we have this ocean.practicelayouts.com. What else do we have? I can't remember. There's other stuff too. I don't think this is going to take 2 hours. I generally stream for about 2 hours at a time. So let's go ahead and get Scenic deployed. And then what I would like to do is let's take a look back at the at all of the repos that we've done for the last year and a half. And every time we do a deployment, let's go back and grab a couple of things from the archive and get those things deployed as well. And it would actually be kind of cool to make a list, and like, let's just make a little list here, like a little directory of everything that exists. Eventually, I have a plan for this practicelayouts.com. I mean, as the name indicates, I want to encourage people to build and practice building layouts. But I don't exactly have all of the details for what this is going to be quite yet. But let's just like fill this up, at least with all the subdomains that we've deployed here. I mean, why not? Yeah, so there's that. Anywho, Rahul is here. Hello, welcome. Rahul is in Nepal. He stays up late to hang out with us. He's like 12 hours ahead. Malik Robinson, hello, welcome Malik. Malik started his first web design internship last week, and we're so excited for him. WSL2, this is the thing, WSL2. This is Windows Subsystem for Linux is a feature, let's see here, is a feature allowing Windows 10 or 11 users to run a native Linux environment, including command line tools, utilities, and GUI applications directly on Windows without the overhead of a traditional virtual machine. And Malik Robinson, so Rahul, tell me in the chat, have you actually used this? I'm thinking you probably have, since you knew what it was immediately and typed it into the chat. I know Malik has used this. He, in fact, installed this and did his first deployment using rsync on a Windows machine, so I'm very proud of him. Not only did he follow all the directions, all of my step-by-step directions to do his deployment, but he also is the one who reported back to me and said, oh, you actually have to have this thing for rsync, which I did not know, because I've been a Mac user for over a decade, and I didn't even learn Linux or the command line until I started using a Mac, and I legitimately had no idea that those things were native to Mac. I didn't know. So he told us, and he's going to a meeting. Oh, he's going to his team meeting. So he'll be back when he gets back. I'm so pleased. I'm so happy for him. He goes to meetings with his team now. So, okay, Angela, you're acting like a goofball. Give me a moment here. I have to open up. I forgot to open up all the things. So let me get logged into DigitalOcean. And let's see here. And I also have to log into Hover. So I use, let's see here. Okay, so I use DigitalOcean for all of my hosting. I do have a link in the GitHub repository. They are referral links. Let's see here. They are right here. They are referral links. If you would like to get, I think it's like $200 off your first 60 days, and you just want to practice, if you click my link, you'll get that deal. I do get a commission. It's totally optional. I also have a referral link for hover.com, which is where I register my domain names. I think it's like $2 off your first purchase of a domain name. So if you are inclined to do that and follow along, you are welcome to. Let me get Hover open here, because we are going to be updating our DNS settings in order to create a subdomain. And you know, I know that there are people who like to keep their domain names and their domain names and their hosting together, right? DigitalOcean is not a domain registrar. I don't think they're a domain registrar. Not the last time I checked, I don't think that they are. So I have to have my hosting and my domains in two separate places. That is how I actually prefer to do things. You may like to have everything all in one place. That's completely fine. It definitely can make it a little bit easier. My concern is that if one is vulnerable, if that ever becomes vulnerable, you don't have a strong enough password, something happened, now your domains and your hosting are all compromised. I feel like keeping them separate, it just feels a little safer to me, but also hopefully you're using a password manager and like two-factor authentication, things like that. I like to just keep it, I like to keep it separate, which means that there's a little bit of legwork involved, but also this is how the internet works. And this is another reason why I do this. I want front-end developers to understand how the internet works. I want you to know what an A record is and what a CNAME is and what a subdomain is and what a virtual host is. Every time you deploy a new project, you do not have to spin up. Here's our practice layouts project. You do not have to spin up a new droplet every single time you deploy a new site. So this is a good little list. I don't have to go back and look. We have our root domain, and then we have 3 subdomains. These are all on the same droplet, and a droplet is the LAMP stack, Linux, Apache, MySQL. Yeah, so one little droplet, and this is 2 gigs of RAM, 50 gigs of disk space. If you're just deploying static websites for your own portfolio, or even if you're doing client work and you're building static landing pages or static websites without Node, without needing a compiler or a package manager to like do a runtime or a build, this is like perfect. And this is like, I mean, how much is this? Okay, I think this is like $12 a month. Yeah, so right now I'm up to $10.29. Today is February 17th. This is not super expensive at all. This is, well, it might be more than 12. Maybe it's like 15 or 16 bucks a month. Still, to have 5 sites on one droplet, one little droplet here, all static websites, that is very affordable. And you get to learn how to manage a cloud server. You're going to get more comfortable on the terminal or on the command line. Oh, I got to sign in here before this time's out. One moment. Yeah, I feel really strongly about front-end developers knowing how to do deployment, understanding the process. And I've posted about this before. I've posted like shorts about this, encouraging more developers to learn deployment. And the response that I've gotten has been kind of surprising. Some of the comments of other more experienced developers being surprised that I've run into people who don't think this is important. And I mean, I can only share what my own experience is, right? Which is that I can think of a couple very specific junior developers that I've worked with who just didn't think it was a big deal. So what can I say? Okay. So here are the DNS settings for practice layouts right here. So we're obviously just adding a new A record each time we add a subdomain, and we point it to the IP address of our droplet. Easy peasy, baby. Yeah. I think this will be an incredibly valuable thing for you as a front-end developer to get comfortable with this type of process. Yeah. In my experience, this is a good thing to know how to do. So, and Rahul says, yes, I did in one of my previous jobs. The team primarily used Linux, and they asked me to use it as well to avoid potential merge conflicts on GitHub. Oh, that's interesting. Since it was all command line based, which isn't really my preference, I installed WSL2 and worked through that instead. Oh, I didn't realize that. So you do not, how do you, okay, so this sentence here, since it was all command line based, which isn't really my preference, was it not your preference at the time? And did doing this change your mind? I'm just curious. Like, where are you now in your command line journey? I would like to know. Because I'm curious. Because I prefer the command line. That is my. It's not like I'm an expert or anything like that, but I prefer it. I would say at this point in my career, I'm very comfortable with it. So, okay. Well, let's get started, shall we? One moment. And actually, really quick, really, just quickly, do me a favor. Like the video if you haven't yet. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. It helps the algorithm. It helps me push more content like this out to people who might enjoy this. I can already see by our views 17 minutes in that I already know that deployment content is not the big hot ticket on YouTube. It's boring. Not everybody cares, but I care deeply about it. So if you're here, if you like this type of thing, do me a favor, like, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. Also, come hang out with me on Instagram. I'm trying to, after 14 years of being extremely inconsistent on Instagram, I am making an effort to build an audience over there. I am a doom scroller extraordinaire. I do really like posting reels, but I'm also like working up my confidence and my bravery to do more of that. I would say that the things that I enjoy most on reels or on Instagram, I would call like dev adjacent lifestyle content, maybe like cooking, deep thoughts by Angela, things like that. Also, that's a good place to reach out, like DM me if you have questions about anything that I'm doing on YouTube or anything related to front end. I'm happy to chat with you there. Yeah, so follow me on Instagram if you are so inclined. All right. And with that being said, and Rahul says, I prefer using a GUI over the command line whenever possible. That's so interesting to me. However, for GitHub Actions, I do use the command line. If given the choice, I would generally opt for a GUI. I find that so interesting because I will always choose the command line. Hey, potato, potato, right? Whatever gets the job done. Whatever gets the job done. I will say this, and I don't think, and you're not saying that you don't know how to do it. You're just saying that you have a preference. I have been asked in tech interviews if I am able to use the command line. So I'm just throwing that out there for other developers who are watching who may be avoiding learning how to use the command line. I have been asked that in tech interviews. So, receive that information for what it's worth, I guess. So, okay, let's go ahead and add. This is the first thing I want to do is I want to get this percolating as soon as possible. We have not created anything yet on this droplet, but let's add this A record and get that propagating. So it's going to be Scenic is the host name, and the IP address right there, we'll leave the default at 15 minutes. It's an A record. We'll go ahead and add our A record. So this is all that we need to do here in our DNS settings. So let's just tuck that away. And then in DigitalOcean, I don't know, they make this weird. So here's what I usually have to do. I have to click on a domain, and then I have to go back to domains. And then I can add a domain. I don't know why I have to take those steps to do that. So the domain is going to be scenic.practicelayouts.com. The project is Practice Layouts. Did I spell everything correctly? I think that I did. Yes. Okay. And this says, what's next? You need to update your name servers with your domain registrar for the records below to take effect. We are actually not going to do that. There's two ways to update DNS settings. You can do an A record, which is the method we're using, or you can change your name servers. So if we go back here, then there are no name. Well, if we go to overview, here are the name servers right here. We're using the default hover name servers. So that means that if you needed to do anything else, like add MX records for email, if you needed to add like a text, sometimes you have to do like for Google authentication or some sort of authentication, you add like a text file or SPF1 record, whatever, there's lots of different types of DNS records. You do that all here. If we changed the name servers to DigitalOcean, then everything here would live over here. This is the method that I choose to use, where I'm really only adding what I need to create that virtual host. I'm not really managing my MX records or anything else here. So that's just my method. And honestly, it's not even a method that I use for every single thing. It just depends on the site, it depends on the client, and it depends on the situation. So for my personal sites, though, this is how I do it. So we are disregarding that message about the name servers, and we are just going to create a record. And again, we're creating an A record, Scenic. Oh, gosh darn it, every time. So we're going to use the @ sign, and it's automatically populating here because we told DigitalOcean what the domain is going to be. So we're just doing the root of the domain that we already specified. We have to choose the droplet that this is going to point to, which is practice layouts, the TTL 3600 seconds. I think that's 15 minutes. And then we'll go ahead and create this A record. And that is all that we need to do for our domains. So now we need to crack open the terminal and log into our droplet and follow our instructions. Yep, here we go. Okay. Let me enlarge this a little bit. Okay. And here is our virtual host. Okay. Droplet setup, DNS point your domain. We already did that. Everything that you see me do here is like a part 2 of what we have already done. So creating a sudo user, all of those things assume that you've already done the droplet setup, which I have linked up here. So if you don't know how to do that, some of these things like creating a sudo user and adding it to the sudo group may not make sense. So just letting you know. So we're going to SSH in as the sudo user, which for practice layouts for this droplet, my sudo username is Heidi. So we're going to SSH in. And we have an SSH key already set up. That's how we are able to log in so easily. And we have some updates here, so we are going to apply those updates. As soon as I use the keyword sudo in front of every command, it's going to ask me for a password for the sudo user. So when you set up your sudo user, there is a password, and every time you log in and you do sudo for the first time, you're going to be asked for that password. So we'll do the update and the upgrade first, because we haven't logged in a little while. And while that's cooking, Rahul says, I'm also working on building my portfolio website. I've been postponing it for quite some time. Well, what on earth for? Are you just feeling like a creative block? And now, so we did the update. Now we're going to do the upgrade with the yes flag, so it can just do the things. Although I think it's going to stop and ask me at some point to choose a thing. So we'll deal with that when we get to it. Yeah, I think I'm going to move these around so you can see. There. Okay. And everything went through. Sometimes when you do the upgrade step, there's like you're still forced to choose an option, something or other, but that wasn't the case this time. So, and then optional reboot if the kernel updates were installed. I always do a reboot, so we'll go ahead and just do that now. So we're gonna log out and log back in. We'll give that a moment. I would have finished it already, but I'm not very strong in UI design. I mean, well, that's fair. But listen, you know what you must know how I'm going to respond to that. You must know how I'm going to respond to that, which is that it doesn't matter how strong your UI design skills are. They will never be better if you're not actually doing it. And you don't need to have that all figured out in order to actually build the thing and finish the thing. You need to just do it and embrace the creative process, because you're never going to be better at it if you're not actually doing it. Embrace the creative process, because I think you'll be really surprised at the ideas that you come up with just by being willing to open up your project and get busy and get working. So that's my experience, and I don't think I'm unique. So hopefully you're not surprised to hear me respond like that. Okay, and we are up to date. Yay. I have a couple things in here about the Nano text editor. If you've never used the Nano text editor, these are just some shortcuts and how you save and exit from Nano. And then we need to make a directory. Let's cd over to where our files live. Let me clear this. And you can see here that we've got coffee, ocean, Italia, and then we have our root for practice layouts. We want to make our directory. There we go. And we're using sudo for the first time since logging in again. So it's going to ask us for a password. That's fine. No, so, oh, we have to, hang on. Whoops, wrong one. So we're going to make the directory. There we go. So there's Scenic. So now we need to cd. We don't need a sudo for the cd. We're just going to cd into that directory. And now we need to make another directory called public_HTML. And that is where our files are going to live. And we should be able to see that in there, right there. So now we need to fix our permissions. The 775 gives group write access. So we've got user and we've got group. So Heidi, as a user, as part of the www-data group, can update files without breaking Apache ownership. And what this means is when we log into FileZilla as the sudo user Heidi and update those files, it's going to show that this is going to change from www-data, which is the default Apache user and owner. It's going to change to Heidi. Now, if you're doing WordPress, you are going to need to reset your permissions. If you're using something like FileZilla or even rsync, you will have to reset your permissions because you're not going to be able to do any updates, theme updates. I don't even think you can do WordPress core updates if you don't have your owner and your group set to www-data. So I do have something in here about resetting your permissions. Well, this is literally it. This is resetting your permissions right here. But if you're just doing rsync or FileZilla and it's a static website and you don't need the owner to be something different, you can just leave it as is. I tend to reset because I started my career as a WordPress developer, so that's just habit for me, but it's not required, and you'll see that here once we get to that point. So we don't need to do any of this. Well, maybe we should, because since we did this as sudo, because the sudo user has root level permissions, it shows up as root. So we can go ahead and just do this. So we're doing this recursively. There it is. And same, we'll do this here with these permissions. The read, write, access permissions. There, and you can see that those changed. And then if you want to make sure all future files keep that group, which we do because we're going to be adding new files and new directories when we upload our site, we'll go ahead and do this as well. Okay. Here it is, just in case you need to reset ownership permissions after rsync or even with FileZilla. So there's that there. Okay, so now we want to actually open up FileZilla and deploy our site. So let me go find FileZilla. And I cannot zoom this in. Not now. I have tried, so I apologize. It's tiny. There's just like nothing I can do to zoom this in. So we'll go ahead, and I have my site all set up here, and I have the user, and we're linked to our SSH key. So we'll go ahead and connect. And here we are. Here's the, it defaults to the Heidi remote directory. So we need to get over to the directory where we actually keep our files. So I'll double click out, and we're looking for var and www. And you can see here are all of our files. And we're looking for Scenic, and we want to go into the public underscore HTML, which is empty. And then over here, this is my local, and we're still in the responsive video gallery. That must have been the last thing we deployed. No, the last thing we deployed was the coffee site. So maybe I deployed something recently. I don't remember. Okay, so here's our Scenic directory locally. And these are all of the steps to set up FileZilla. Ours is already set up, but I think this is pretty self-explanatory. This is the key thing right here. We don't want to deploy any file or directory that isn't required for site functionality. You should always exclude the following files. So you don't want anything with git or git ignore. Don't treat your production server as a little storage container. It's not your little personal Dropbox. You only put on a production server what you actually need in order to run the site. That is, just do not put your important files, sensitive files, anything that you don't need. Any file with an MD, so like our README files don't need to be there. This is like a goofy Mac thing, this ds_store. Your design files or directories, we don't need any of that. So what do we need here to run our site? We need the blog page. We need the contact page. We do not need the design page. We need the images page, the page. We don't need the SVG directory because I don't actually reference SVGs as an image source. I actually embed my SVGs, so we don't need that. We don't need dsstore, gitignore, the QA markdown document. We need our animate CSS file. We need our index.html. We need our normalize.css, our script.js, and our style.css. That's what we need. And I just dragged it over and dropped it in. And there we go. So now we should be able to go back over here. Let's clear this. And let's cd into our public underscore HTML, and we should see all of our files there. And there we go. Oh, and it is the Heidi owner and Heidi group. And that's completely fine. We're not breaking Apache. But if this was like a WordPress theme, or if you were in WP content, if you're a WordPress developer, you know what that is. You are going to want to reset your ownership and permissions after you upload your things, or your plugins, your themes. You could even have trouble with some core updates if you don't have the default Apache owner and group. I gotta tell you, I'm gonna reset mine just because it's habit. I don't need to. It's just habit. It's just habit. Yes, I do everything one at a time. Now if we look again, well, it's clear. And you can see there, we've reset back to www data, and we have the correct read, write, execute permissions on our new files. So, you know what? You decide for yourself what works. I give you the information, you decide what works. Okay, let's take a break and say hello to a couple of people. One moment. Give me a moment first. And Rayhan is here. Welcome, Rayhan. We're so happy to have you. Rizzy G, our friend Rizzy G. What's up, friend? What is a subdomain? So Rahul says it's a child domain like sheets.google.com or myactivity.google.com. It's connected to the main domain. Yeah, so it's like up here. Well, let's see here. We've got practice layouts. So we've got coffee.practicelayouts.com. It's a subdomain. I mean, technically www dot whatever. The www, that is also a subdomain. I'm just saying. That's not like a magical thing. It is a subdomain. So anytime you see a website like, hang on, let's just do this, amazon.com. Boom, right here, www.amazon.com. How did that trend start? Well, Amazon.com's been around for 5 million years. Just like Facebook's been around for 5 million years. All the old sites, all the OG sites that have been around since the beginning, most of them are www. I know GitHub is not. But technically, www.amazon.com, it is a subdomain with a CNAME redirect. Practice Layouts is a CNAME redirect, right? I'm just saying, it's technically what it is. So, okay. Back to the thing. So let's make sure that our DNS is ready to go. So we're going to ping scenic.practicelayouts.com. Technically, I don't think we can see this site yet. Maybe we can. Okay, yep. So Control C to stop that. So here's my prediction. Scenic.practicelayouts.com. I think we'll be able to see the site, but we're going to get like a warning that it's not secure. Oh, and it's automatically redirecting everything we haven't set up the virtual host yet. So it's automatically redirecting all subdomains back to the root. Okay, that makes sense. So, but our DNS is ready. So we need to update our virtual host and make sure that Certbot is installed. But we need to do the virtual host for port 80 first, which is the HTTP. Certbot and the SSL certificate is what makes it HTTPS. We have to do the HTTP first. So here is the Apache virtual host files. So this is the part that can get complicated, and it's complicated for me too, even though I've done it 500 million times. So we're going to go to, just going to get back to the root. We're going to cd to the Apache directory right here. And then we're going to look for something called, I'm going to zoom this out a tiny bit. We're going to look for something called sites available right here. So we're going to go into sites available. And you can see in here that there's 2 Apache files for every site. There's the port 80 and there's the port 443. So there's the HTTP and the HTTPS. And I tend to make a copy of the root, which is W000-default. I make a copy of the root to make the new port 80 file for our site. So that's what this is right here. Sudo nano, we're going to make a copy. Hang on here, I missed a step. Yep, I missed a step. We actually have to, okay, I'm good. I'm glad that we're doing this. So we actually have to make a copy of this right here. So let me go back and find. Oh, I do not have the copy in here. Okay, well, that's good to know. So we need to make a copy of this right here. Sudo cp this. Nope. This, and we want to name it scenic.practice layouts.com.conf, right? Yes. Now we are going to open up the Nano editor and edit that file right here. That's the port 443 right here. So here it is. Sudo nano. And we need to update this information. So we don't need the alias because this isn't a www, so I'm going to delete that. The server name is scenic.practicelayouts.com. the document root is not HTML. That's the root. So we need, copy this. Public underscore HTML. We don't need this redirect because there's no www, so we're going to take this out as well. And again, we're going to update this directory. It's not HTML. It's this / public underscore HTML. And I think that's it. So we updated the server name. Yeah, we don't need this. We don't need this. This makes me think that I should make this so we actually copy another subdomain. But if you're making the first subdomain, that wouldn't be helpful, would it? But I don't think we need this redirect. Let's double check one of the other. We'll double check one of the other port 80 virtual host files for one of the other ones. And I will update this after the stream today. But I don't think we need the redirect. That is only for the root and to redirect the www. So a little Control X, yes, enter to save. And then let's just glance at this file right here. Yeah, so it's just the server name, the server admin, and the root. That's all we need. Okay, so I will update this. Oh, I'm glad that we're doing this. This is the great thing about streaming these is that this is like my little test ground to make sure I have it all right. Okay, so there's our port 80 virtual host. So we should be able to see the HTTP version of this site. And it says not secure. Okay, I am not going to click this. You can go advanced and proceed and see the not secure version of this. But here's the thing. If I do that, Chrome is gonna add a cookie to my browser and I will not be able to clear that cookie. It'll take 24 hours for this to stop showing up as not secure. Even after I install the SSL certificate, it'll be fine in incognito. It'll be fine in Safari. It'll be fine in Firefox, but Chrome will hang onto this cookie for 24 hours and I will not be able to clear it. Ask me how I know. So I'm not going to proceed, but creating the port 80 virtual host, this is confirmation that worked, that the DNS is connecting to the server and that this is working. So now we just need to do the SSH certificate. So here is the port 443 virtual host. So once again, we don't have to copy and make this file. Here's what we do. Now we do the SSL certificate. So I need to switch these around here and do the SSL certificate last. So we're going to use something called Certbot. So we'll check and see that Certbot is installed, and we know that it is, but we'll just go ahead and double check. If it's not installed, whoops. If it's not installed, you can go ahead and install it. Now we're going to request and install the certificate. So we are going to sudo certbot Apache, and we need a SSL certificate for scenic.practicelayouts.com. And it's pinging the domain name to make sure. And it says here, so this is totally normal, we were unable to find a virtual host with a server name or address of scenic.practicelayouts.com. Which virtual host would you like to choose? So we are going to choose, why isn't Scenic on here? Ocean, Italia, coffee, coffee. Did I spell it wrong? It should be on the list. Okay, I'm going to cancel. Oh, you know why I can't find it? Because we didn't. It can't find it because we didn't enable it. So now we have to, yeah, okay, I will add that as well. We have to enable there's two files directories here, sites available and sites enabled. And when we created the port 80 virtual host, we had to enable it and reload Apache. We did not do that. So I have to include that here. So here's what we do to enable it. We actually have to do this. And we're going to enable scenic.practicelayouts.com.conf. So now it's enabled. Now we need to reload Apache. Gosh, this is so good. Authentication is required. Okay. All right, now that site is enabled. So now let's go ahead and run Certbot again, and it should find it on the list. Actually, it shouldn't even ask us. I think it'll just go ahead and do it. It couldn't find it because we hadn't enabled it yet and we hadn't reloaded Apache. There we go, it found it. Found it right away. You have existing certificate that is exactly the same domain or certificate name you requested and isn't close to expiry. Okay, what would you like to do? Oh, because it's saying that because it attempted to do the certificate, but we canceled it. So it's giving us this warning. Attempt to reinstall this existing certificate. I'm going to do number 1. Okay, successfully deployed a certificate for scenic.practicelayouts.com. And it created this new Apache file for the port 443 HTTPS. And now we're going to go look at that file, and you may be saying to yourself, why, if it creates that new file and the new certificate, do we need to edit and do things to it? I don't know. I just know that we need to go in and we need to look at this and make sure that it's got the stuff that we need it to have. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so HTTPS has been installed. Let's clear. We'll go into sites available. And you can see here my mouse. Hello. I lost my mouse. You can see here scenic.practicelayouts.com-LE for Let's Encrypt -SSL-CONF. So we're going to nano into this file. And you have to sudo or you're not going to be able to save your edits. So our server name, our server admin, our document root, our directory, those are all correct. Our error log is here. Everything got saved. Our include, our path to our certificate file and key file, everything looks good. So we don't need to change anything here. So that's good. Yep, it looks good. So just make sure that you're looking at these things and that you have the correct path. Okay, so we'll exit out of this. We Shouldn't need to reload Apache, but I'm going to anyways. Module rewrite already enabled. Excellent. Let's go ahead and just reload Apache for the heck of it. And if you want to be extra sure the SSL virtual host is active, you could do it specifically for this. And I just did it as like a blanket. Okay, you can confirm the redirect behavior later in your browser or by running. So let's just go ahead and do these now. So what are the predictions for what we should see? For HTTP, we should automatically see HTTP get oh, do we need a redirect? It should automatically redirect to HTTPS. 301 moved permanently. Does the coffee site do that? Because we took the redirect out. So http//co. So I'm being very explicit here. I'm typing that in. And it is redirecting to HTTPS. Okay, we took the, what is that redirect for and the root? Is it for the www? It must be for the www. It's not for the HTTP to HTTPS. So we should see HTTP 301 moved permanently to HTTPS. That's what we should see here. Yep, move permanently. And then for HTTPS, we should see a status 200. There it is. So here's an important thing to remember when you have an SSL certificate installed. This website now, scenic.practicelayouts.com, it has two domain names. It has HTTP and it has HTTPS. That's important to remember. So you have to make sure that your HTTP is always redirecting to your HTTPS. Yeah, okay, so we should be able to see this now. So I'm going to very explicitly put in HTTP and make sure that that redirects to the HTTPS. No. Why is that that should not be, this is still, so the HTTP, why is that happening? All right, we have some problem solving to do. Here's our HTTPS. So that's working. Our HTTP, and it does say up here 301 moved permanently. Let's check in incognito. Maybe that's just a caching thing. Let's check incognito. Oh, let's just type in the whole thing. And then I'm going to come up here and take the S out. I think that's caching. Yes, that was caching. So it is working. That's another thing. Be mindful if you are trying to load things in the browser or get an expected result in the browser as you're doing this. Caching and cookies are a very real issue. So I think since we did that incognito, we should be able to see this. Is this going to work now? No. That's probably going to take 24 hours to clear. So let's look at Firefox and Safari and make sure we're getting the result we want. I'm going to close FileZilla. We don't need this anymore. Everybody following along with me? The chat is quiet. The chat is quiet. You must be enthralled. I don't blame you. I'm enthralled. Okay, I'm putting in HTTP. And we see that automatically redirecting. We have our little padlock for connection secure, verified by Let's Encrypt. So this is Firefox, excellent. Let's look at Safari. And again, we have our little padlock. Safari is using an encrypted connection, show certificate, and issued by E8, that's like the Let's Encrypt organization. Here we go. Organization, Let's Encrypt, common name E8. Okay, beautiful. It's working. So let's see if we can. Okay. You know what? That's going to take a day to clear. That's just going to take a day. I'm not worried about it. It's working. It's a caching thing. So that's it. That's how you deploy a subdomain. What do we think? What do we think? Have you tried it? Are you excited to try it? Do you want to try it? Are you thinking, oh man, I really want to try this? Let's go back to our root and let's just make a little list of the sites that we know that we have deployed on practicelayouts.com, and we'll just go ahead and add them. So Clash of the Clans Legend is here. Hello, welcome. Glad you could join us. Do me a favor. If you're enjoying this, go ahead and hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't yet. We just hang out and we do these incredibly nerdy things like build static websites and deploy to LAMP stacks and create virtual hosts and install SSL certificates. It's good, wholesome fun. It's good, wholesome fun. And come hang out with me on Instagram, Angela J. Holden. It's not like pure dev content because nobody cares about that on Instagram. I'm calling it lifestyle adjacent dev content. Cooking and, just the weird stuff that I like to doom scroll on Instagram. I do a lot of reposting. I cannot help myself. Honestly, I show incredible restraint on the reposting that I don't do. So if you follow me and you're annoyed by my reposting, you should just thank your lucky stars that I don't repost everything that I want to. So there's that. Yeah, we're just having a good time. Oh, I think you're talking to the mods. You're not talking to me. No problem. Okay, so let's just make a little unordered list and stick it on where's the text editor? And just put it on practice layouts. We're just going to copy it right in. Let's do this. Let's just make an unordered list, an li, and this would be our root directory. Practice layouts.com. We'll do this. And I think we have Italia. Italia. And then we have Ocean. And then we have coffee. And then we have Scenic. And I'm just going to copy this and paste it right into our root HTML. And I think we just have an index.html in here. So I'm going to sudo nano index.html. And just copy that right in, just like that. And then Control X, yes, enter. Now we should be able to go to practice layouts and see our list. There it is. Oh, let's actually make this so it opens in a new window. What is happening here? So we should be able to, there we go. So we should just keep a nice little list here. Anytime we are adding a new site, we should just keep a list. You know what? We should take out opening a new tab for the main one, right? Let's do that. We don't need to redo the whole list. Let's just go down here. There, just kind of refreshes the page. All right, yeah, I got to come up with a plan for this. Like, I have an idea in my head of what I'm going to do with this site, but I haven't figured it out yet. Well, I think that we should we do another one? Let's look at our GitHub. In our repositories. What other sites have we built that we can deploy? So should we go ahead and deploy our Instagram grid profile? Actually, I kind of want to deploy this solo Masonry. Let's do this. This I did not do on stream. This I built separately and released as a project video. This was really fun. I enjoyed doing this. So let's just go ahead and deploy this as solo.practice layouts. Or we could do, what the heck? Let's just do solo. Should we do solo-masonry.practicelayouts.com? Why not? Why not? The code is not visible. What do you mean? The code is not visible. I'm not sure what you mean. Are you talking about this? I'm not sure what you mean. Let me know which code you're referring to. Let's go ahead and deploy another subdomain. So here are our DNS settings. So let's do an A record. Solo Masonry is the host name. And our IP address is, back to our main project. Here's our IP address. And we'll go ahead and add this record. And then in DigitalOcean, we are going to do this again. We're going to add a domain, solo, Masonry, practice, layouts.com, and our project is practice layouts. We don't need to adjust the main servers, but we do need to create just an A record. So we're going to use @ and it'll automatically populate solo-masonry.practicelayouts.com. It will redirect to the practice layouts droplet, TTL 3600 seconds, which I think is 15 minutes. And we will let this percolate. I'm going to close this, put this right there, and let's go back to our DevOps. So we know now, I know now what I need to do differently to update my documentation. So let's reinforce that by redoing it, by repeating it. So let's go out one. So we are going to create a directory for Solo Masonry. Let's right here. solomasonry.practicelayouts.com, and then we're going to cd into that directory. And then we are going to make a directory called public_HTML, and that is where our files live. Right there. And then we're going to fix our permissions. So I'm going to change the owner. Actually, I'm just going to take this and update this. So we're going to update the owner and the group to the Apache default www-data, and we're just going to update the permissions. And then if you want to make all future files, keep that group, and I do. So I'm going to run this because there will be future files in about 90 seconds. So there's that. Okay, I'm going to clear this. We should be able to look at this now, and you can see that everything has been updated, the owner, the group, and the read, write, execute permissions. So we'll go back to FileZilla now, which I just closed, so I'm going to reopen it. And we'll go ahead and log in. So we're logging into the practice layouts droplet using the sudo user Heidi, and this is all done via SSH. So it's just like we're logging in on the terminal. And so we've got our local site on the left, our remote site on the right, and it's automatically going to default to the sudo users directory. So we need to go up 1, up 2, and we're going to go to var www, and you can see here, here's our Solo Masonry directory, public_HTML. And then let's come over here to our local, and we are looking for the Solo Masonry right there. So what do we want to add? Because just a reminder, don't deploy any file or directory that isn't required for site functionality. So we're going to exclude git ignore, any README files, markdown files, DS store, this goofy file that Mac always uses. We don't need the design files or directories. So we're going to need the images. We don't want Git. We don't need SVGs. That's a file that I always have on my sites, but I don't reference it. I don't link to SVGs. I always embed them. And we don't need DS store. We don't need git ignore. We don't need the license, the README. We need index.html. These are design files. I probably should have put them in their own directory, but the mobile menu PNG, mobile menu PSD, we need the normalize, we need script. These are design files, and we need style.css. So this is all we need. I think this is such a good exercise. I feel like it could be frustrating if you are used to automating this process. And automation is obviously not a bad thing. It's a good thing. But again, I just encourage you, if you're new to this, if you're new to deployment, go through this process. Go have this exercise of like looking at your files and deciding what it is that actually needs to be on the server. I just think it's a good exercise. So, okay, so now we have our images, our index.html, our CSS, and our JavaScript. And this project is just a one-page website, so there are no inner pages, no additional pages. And these, we just dragged them and dropped them, and they're deployed. So we should be able to cd into public_HTML, and we'll take a look at those files, and there they are. So now let's reset our ownership and permissions. You don't need to do this. I just like to. I'm gonna update this. So there's our group and owner. These are the directory, read, write, execute, and then these are the file, read, write, execute. So now if we look at these again, you can see that the read, write, execute of the directories has changed and the files has changed. The owner and the group have also changed. So, and listen, I am by no means an expert on Apache or read, write, execute, things like that. But I am familiar enough with the process to know that there is a way to keep things secure and to keep the appropriate level of permissions on things. So I think it's worthwhile. I think it's worth learning. Okay, so now let's ping and make sure that our DNS settings. So I'm just going to grab this right here. Our DNS settings have propagated. Technically, it can take 24 to 48 hours. But in my experience, things generally propagate pretty quickly, especially if you're in a big metro area like I am. And so, yes, this is working. So I'm going to Control-C to stop that. We're not ready for Certbot. We want to make sure that we are copying our port 80 file. So let's actually copy, we copied the root. Let's actually copy the file that we just created. I think that's fine. So let's cd over to our Apache. So we'll cd etc Apache 2. There. Okay. We'll list our files. And we're looking for these sites available. So here is our port 80 virtual host right here. So I'm going to copy this. That's clear. So I'm going to sudo cp for copy. We're going to copy that file. I'm just going to paste that again, and then we'll update this. And we're going to make a copy of this called solo Masonry. There it is. So now let's edit this and update the contents. Sudo nano solo masonry. I'll make a copy of this right here. Well, actually I could just type it out. Solo masonry, and same right here. Solo masonry. And we're going to do the same down here. I don't think we technically this rewrite happens. Oh, this is why it redirects from HTTP to HTTPS. It's because of this rewrite right here. So technically this is going to update when we do the enable site, but I'm just going to update it. solo-masonry.practicelayouts.com. Our document root is correct. Our server name is correct. Our directory is correct. So I'm going to Control X, yes, enter. So now we want to enable that site. Copy this. And then it's telling us that it is enabling site to activate the new configuration you need to run. This right here. And it's asking for the password of the sudo user. All right. So now we should be able to go ahead and run Certbot. And it will be able to find the virtual host file because we enabled it. Solo masonry.practicelayouts.com. There you go. Look at how easy that was. And it's even saying here, some rewrite rules copied from the port 80 configuration file were disabled in the virtual host for your HTTPS site. Okay, fair, because it made a copy and it knew what the settings needed to be. They have the potential to create redirection loops. So let's take a look at that file. But it's basically saying here that it was successfully deployed. So just to be on the safe side, it says here, enable SSL site if needed. I'm just going to go ahead and enable it. Is there just a blanket statement here that I can do? Yeah, I'm just going to do this. And it's going to tell me that it's already done, but. And then I'm going to reload Apache. And if you want to do just the file itself, you can. Okay. And then we can test our redirects. So we should see this say 301, and then we should say HTTPS as 200. Beautiful. Nice. Okay, now let's take a look. Solo masonry dot practice layouts.com. Look at that. and we automatically have HTTP. So if I come up here and remove that S, we automatically see that redirecting. Beautiful. We'll take a look in Firefox and in Safari, just for the heck of it. Beautiful. And then we're Safari. Look at that. Well, that's good. I mean, see how much smoother that went the second time around? So that's good. I know exactly what I need to fix in the documentation. And yeah, actually, I feel like there's some things I could add to the original documentation as well. So that's good. I can do that today. What do we think? What do we think, people? So this is going to be the goal. Every time we do a deployment, we're going to look back in the archive and we're going to do another deployment. And then eventually they'll just all get deployed, right? Let's go ahead and add this. Let's get back out to our root. And let's cd into our HTML. And then I'm going to edit sudo nano index.html. And let's see here. Can't I just copy this? Cut, paste, execute, justify. Let's do this. Update this. All right. Control X, yes to save, enter. And then let's get back to our practice layouts. There it is. There's our solo masonry. Beautiful. Beautiful. And I'm going to log out of the terminal. I love it. And I don't think we need anything else here. I think we can log out here as well. And I don't think there's anything else I need to do here. But let me check. What's happening? Yeah, I'm done here as well. Log out. What do we think? We got 2 deployments done today, and we updated this list. I think that's it. It's only been about an hour and a half, but honestly, I didn't really have anything else planned. So I'm going to get my documentation up to date, and Malika's back. Did you do it with WSL or are you still going with FileZilla? I don't need WSL because I'm on a Mac, so I can rsync natively on a Mac. And I did just do FileZilla. That's a good point. I'll do rsync next time. Honestly, I haven't been doing rsync because FileZilla is just so gosh darn easy. That's why I do it. So, awesome. We have another we have another deployment and a project completed. So I'm pretty happy about that. Yeah, now I have to think about what I want to do for the next project. I honestly have no idea. I have about a day or so to think about it. Probably just gonna dig through the archive and look for another set of mockups that I like. I definitely want to do, I want to start doing complete sites. I like this, doing maybe like 2, 3, 4, 5 page websites. I think 4 or 5 pages is the sweet spot, making sure that we're including a contact form, maybe continuing with newsletter signups. It's still a thing to look for newsletter signups and to build an email list. And I do have a video coming on that. I don't want to do it in a live stream. I attempted to. We got the newsletter sign up figured out for the Scenic site in the live stream, but I should have done that offline to make sure that I was being safe and not showing too much information. So I need to refine that process because I think it's a good thing to show people how to do. Email lists still matter. They are still important. We'll keep doing the contact form. Yeah. And we'll just look for interesting designs to implement because really this is about building layouts and vanilla CSS. Oh, definitely more JavaScript. I have to say, I really, let's go look at this. We haven't done any QA. Angela, what is wrong with you? Okay, let's do a little QA. Let's look on our phone and make sure everything's looking right. We didn't do, Angela, what is wrong with you? We have to test our form and we have to test and make sure that our social sharing buttons are working. So let's do the social sharing buttons first. One moment. Let me at least get this pulled up. Scenic.practicelayouts.com. Okay, let's test our social sharing buttons first. I know. We are a QA household and you forgot the QA. Listen, I'm imperfect. I'm an imperfect human. So I think the first thing that we need to do, well, test our navigation, obviously. Let's go ahead and submit something on our contact form. And then I'm going to say info. I'll just call it Scenic at. And then I'm going to say this is a test of the contact form on February 17th, 2026 at 12:14 p.m. Please click reply and confirm you received this message. Thanks. And then we'll go ahead and submit. That opens our success page in a new window. And it disables the button, so the form can't be resubmitted. Yes, this is all still filled in because I have not paid for form spray, so I don't get a custom redirect and I'm not able to clear the form. But all you have to do is refresh the page and it clears the form. So we just did that with a little bit of JavaScript. We just made sure that on submission, we open a new tab and disable the button. Easy peasy. So let's go to form spree now and make sure that that went through. Hang on. Two-factor authentication. And the email did go through. So I did get the email. So that's good. So here's Form Spree. So here's Scenic. Here's our submissions. And here's today's submission right here. And I always put in the date and the time when I'm testing a form. So if I'm having trouble getting submissions to go through, if I include the date and the time, and then something magically goes through when they haven't been going through, I can kind of trace back and figure out what I was doing to troubleshoot. So and honestly, you could use this. You could use that text area to say, like, I'm submitting at 12:14 p.m. and I made this change to, to try and fix the bug of why it's not going through. I'm just saying, use those fields if you're troubleshooting and doing bug fixes. Also, if you are in production, which let's just say that this is our production site. Well, I mean, technically it is. You want to keep that production data safe. Do something obvious. Just put the word test after the name to make sure that you're keeping your production data clean, especially if you're submitting to a CRM, like maybe Salesforce or something like that. So, okay, that went through. I'm not going to test the MailChimp newsletter sign up yet because I have not perfected my process for doing that in a live stream. So I will test that privately and report back to you once I have a video ready to go for that. Okay, so our form is working. Now let's make sure that our blog is working. Now, you can absolutely, let me log into Facebook. You can absolutely go to the Facebook debugger and scrape the page first. That's absolutely okay to do. You can also just share this on Facebook for the first time and it has the same effect. So let's see what happens. We'll do share. And it's updating our URL. It's grabbing our title. It's grabbing what is it grabbing? It's probably grabbing the Open Graph meta tag information that we put in, and it's grabbing that image. So that's beautiful. That's all we want that to do. Delete draft. So now let's do X. And it's doing the same thing. It's grabbing the updated URL. It's grabbing our text. Beautiful. What's happening? What is happening on X today? God, I love the drama on X. It's so good. It's so good. Ooh, so what are they saying here? That Mick Jagger and Bono are in the Epstein files? I've not been following that super closely. Interesting. Okay. Distraction. Okay. Yes, leave site. Now let's check Pinterest. Okay, yep, it pulled up. So we'll just pick a board. See it now. And I didn't see any content though. Wasn't that supposed to put in? So I'm checking the URL And it has the correct image. And it has a description, but I didn't see a description. Did I miss it? Why am I not seeing a description? There it is. It's right there. Did it just take a minute to propagate? I don't know. But that has what it's supposed to have, so that URL is working. Now let's do LinkedIn. My least favorite of all the social media platforms. Okay, that took a second, but it did propagate. So we've got our image, our title, and the correct URL. So that's good. And then email. So this should automatically open up my Gmail, and it populates the title. And then I set the body of the email to be the title and the link. And we have the correct, we have both. Both are correct. So that's working exactly right. I'm going to close that. Close, 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 close. And then let's make sure our print button is working. Beautiful. This is also working. So, I love it. Okay, let's look on our mobile device. It did pull up for me, and we've already, yeah, anybody out there who wants to connect on LinkedIn, absolutely happy to connect. Happy to connect on the platform that just only makes me feel bad about myself. But that's a me problem, not a you problem. Okay. Let me get this pulled up. There we are, scenic.practicelayouts.com. I don't really have I don't have Facebook, I don't have Pinterest. The only social media that I have installed on my phone is Instagram and X. So I'm not really going to test the social media links. We can definitely go ahead and test the form though, and you should be testing the form on desktop and mobile. So there we go. Okay. Message sent on 2/17 at 12:25 p.m. Please click reply and confirm you received this message. Thanks. Submit. And we open in a new tab. And our button is disabled in the old tab, but we can refresh and that gets cleared. Perfect. Let's go check form spree. Okay, let's check out Form Spree. For submissions, seems promising. Oh, it went to spam. Interesting. It could be because, I don't know. It went to spam. So I don't know. Can we mark it as not spam? Not spam. Oh, that's good to know that you have the ability to say, hey, that's not spam. So, and then I did get the email. So we do have both emails. So this is the earlier email from desktop. And then this is the one that I just did. So, and if you're doing something like a form spree or a third-party provider like this, where email, like say you're doing client work, or if you're just doing this for your own site, I highly recommend that you make sure that you can click reply. So if I click reply, this should automatically put the email address that I typed into the form into the reply to slot in your email. So you can just get these responses from your contact form on your website. They go directly to your email, and then if it's like a client or new anything, you just hit reply and reply to them. You don't have to go to your third-party app, look and see who's emailed you, copy and paste an email address, close the loop on this process that you can click reply to and reply to anybody filling out your contact form. I think that's an important step for yourself and for your clients. So I highly recommend that as a step. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Rahul says, my skill is top tier. Looks so good. Oh, thank you. I think I'm better than average, but I think that, I try not to like compare myself to other developers. I will just feel bad about myself because comparison is the thief of joy, in my opinion. But I think that I'm holding my own. Rahul says, will you learn 3JS GSAP? I don't know. I have no idea. No plans to learn either of those things. So honestly, I'm very much at a point in my career where I probably won't learn something new unless I'm doing freelance or contract work where I specifically need to learn something new. Unless something catches my eye and it's something that I genuinely want to do, you probably won't see me learning anything new, or at least not doing it in a stream. That's the other thing. I am very pleased with what I've decided, with the approach that I've decided to take on my channel, being a vanilla channel. I kind of think of it like this, like, you know how there's a gazillion TikTok reaction channels on YouTube? I do think to myself, like, are people going to get bored if they only see me doing vanilla? And then I'm like, well, do people get bored watching their favorite TikTok reaction channels? No, they don't. Or if they do, they move on. That's not the point. The channel found a niche. They found a thing that they're into. And it's not like it's even it's like within the TikTok reaction YouTube community, even there, people like specialize, right? It's like they're reacting to TikTok content about car financing or about finance or about or whatever, right? Beauty. I don't know. So to me, I feel like I found a niche in front end dev YouTube, which I think is pretty unique to be an all vanilla channel where people are being told, you must know Tailwind, you must know React, you must know all these things in order to get a job. And I'm not saying that you don't need to know those things. I'm just saying you also need to know these things. I don't see a lot of people doing what I'm doing, and I'm going to keep doing it because I like it. And yeah, that's where I'm at. That's a long answer to a very simple question. So thank you, Malik. I appreciate that. And Rahul says, the thing that I admire about your front end skills is that you handle the font sizes very well. Oh, good. Yeah, I didn't realize. Well, I mean, I think I handle the font sizes really well. Here's the thing. I've gotten into trouble with M's. In the early days, I used M's, and that creates so much weirdness because the parent container determines the size of the M, and it just gets so weird. So once I switched to rems, my life got a lot easier. And also, since I discovered clamp in the last couple of months, that has made my life a lot easier too. So there's that. Anyways, do me a favor, if you haven't yet, go ahead and hit the like button. It helps the algorithm, helps me push this type of content out to more people who might enjoy it. Subscribe if you're not already. I would love to have you. I'm here Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Boy, we got off to a rip-roaring start in January. I streamed 19 days in January, more than half the month. And then right away in the first couple of weeks of February, I missed 3 streams because I had a sick animal and then I wasn't feeling well. It was a rough couple of weeks in February, but let me tell you, Heidi's back, I'm back, we're back, baby. I think 2026 is going to be really good to us. We have almost 2,000 subscribers, which I am so proud of. I know I'm a little tiny baby channel. I have earned every single one of those subscribers. I could not be prouder of myself. I went from feeling very bad about the fact that I didn't start my channel in 2020 when I had the idea to initially do it, because I just let fear and insecurity and a lack of confidence hold me back for so long. Also, I was still in graduate school, so it's not like I wasn't doing nothing. I was working full-time and I was in graduate school. So I finished graduate school in the spring of 2024, and then I officially started live streaming in August of 2024, and it's been a year and a half now exactly. We have almost 2,000 subscribers. I have this huge library of content, doubling my stream time. At the beginning of January, we started with a 5-day sprint, and then it was just like 4 days a week. It has dramatically improved my numbers. This channel is almost monetized. You need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch time hours to be monetized. We are very close to being monetized. So that is very exciting, and that is a direct result from the amount of streaming that I've been doing. I am way behind on releasing projects. I was so good for months. Every time I was done streaming, I would immediately go and edit the video and have those project videos ready to go. And I think, hundreds of hours behind on editing, and that's just the way it is. So I'm trying to get caught back up on editing. I have a million ideas. There are projects coming. There are edited project videos coming. It's a process. I'm just a one-woman show here doing what I can. But I think great things are going to happen in 2026. I'm super excited for the direction of the channel. Oh, what was I saying? That I felt so bad about myself for so long for not starting in 2020. Now I finally turned this corner where I'm like, I have almost 2,000 subscribers. I'm almost monetized. And I have this huge library of content. I've got tons of live streams. I've got lots of project and videos and tutorials. I've started doing shorts. I want to do more shorts. I just have this huge library of content, and I'm looking at like what I've done in the last 18 months. I'm very pleased with myself. I'm very proud of what I've done on this little channel. So small but mighty, right? Small but mighty. And then my last pitch. Come hang out with me on Instagram. Come hang out with me on Instagram. I love Instagram. I had discovered Reels the last couple of months, and I've just turned into like a doom scroller in the best possible way. I think it's so fun, and I am starting to create more Instagram content, Reels specifically, and I would love to grow my audience over there. So if you want to come hang out with me on Instagram, I would love to have you. Yeah, what will be the next project? I got no idea. I think I'm just gonna reach into the archive and go look for a set of mock-ups, and we're gonna do another site. So you'll find out on Thursday. Maybe if I can, maybe I'll choose a couple of things and put up a poll tomorrow. How does that sound? Maybe I'll look I'll look into the archive this afternoon and tomorrow, and I'll put up a poll on my community post. Maybe I'll put it on Instagram. I don't even know how many people who watch this stream are actually following me on Instagram, but maybe this would be a good test to see what people would like to see me build next. But I'll find something. I will find something. And Viraj says, yo, hello. Yo yourself. Thanks for joining us. Yes, there's a lot of editing to be done of all the live streams. It honestly doesn't take that long, but when you're hundreds of hours behind, it's like, oh yeah, there's some work to do. Am I late to the party? No, you're exactly on time. You're exactly on time for the party. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here. 12:06. I don't know what the F I'm doing here either. So don't even worry about it, my man. You're in the right place. You know what happened today? No, I don't know what happened today. Well, I can tell you. Okay, let's see what's going on here. We had a deployment day, so I can tell you what we did today. And I'm so sorry. Hang on, I'm going to show this comment. It's okay. Don't even worry. Nightbot deleted you. Nightbot deleted you. Got to be careful. Nightbot is hard on people. So let's see here. I had my last working day at my current company. Oh, wait, you can't see. Hang on. Let's go back here. I had my last working day at my current company. It was sad AF. Sorry about that. Nightbot is deleting you. So, oh yeah, I think you got cooked for all caps. So sorry about that. Nightbot doesn't like that, but it's okay. I still have the ability to undelete messages. So don't worry about it. That was just Nightbot. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Welcome to the party. You're here to hang out with us, and we are happy to have you. So, let's see here. Let me get my screens back in order. Honestly, I don't even really mind when people get spicy in the chat. It's just the personal stuff that I don't like. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to like call me out for the code that I'm writing, or you want to tell me that I'm doing it wrong, or that AI is gonna cook me sideways or whatever, those comments do not bother me at all. Christian Codes said that he used to get comments like on every single thing he posted where people would be like, you're going to fail. I would love it if somebody came into my chat and told me that I was going to fail. I would love the opportunity to respond to a comment like that. I don't think anybody has the balls to tell me I'm going to fail, since I'm literally 13 years into my career and I code in public, but whatevs. Stuff like that doesn't bother me at all. It's just like the personal stuff that I can't stand. Although I don't really get a lot of that in the comments. I get a little of that on Instagram. What I get on Instagram is like kind of the lewd, explicit stuff in the DMs, which can be playful and fun if you're in the right mood. But it's also kind of gross. So I don't love that. Malik says, I'd be interested in let me see here. Malik says, oh, hang on. I lost my chat, my ability to chat. Let me update this here. I want to respond to some of these. Oh, my chat's broken. Sorry. Let me move this over here. We can do this again. Malik says, I'd be interested in a full process. Angela, get your shit together. I'd be interested in a full process from the mock-up creation with your current style to the actual creation of it. Yeah, I mean, I don't build a lot of mock-ups myself anymore. We just did 2 projects where I did the mock-up myself. It feels extremely boring to me to do in a live stream. I've done it a couple of times. I tend to I mean, I just have like a little library of mockups that I've built already, and that's usually what I'm choosing from. But if I get a creative bug, we could definitely do that again. I mean, we could definitely do that again. I'm open to it. And Raj says, but like I am joining a new, better one from next week. So that's good. But the current company, the people, the memories, it was so emotional and I'm a yappin'. You know what? That's totally fair. We have to move on sometimes. We have to move on to bigger and better position, more money, a little more status, a little more opportunity. And you know what I'm happy to see about this comment in particular? Because I do see a lot on Reels from people who absolutely hate going into the office. And so you haven't said anything about whether you're remote or hybrid or you're going into the office. But people who are just really fed up with corporate America, going into the office, they want to be remote, they want to be, in my opinion, a bit isolated. And I understand why being remote is so attractive. I've been remote for years, basically since 2020. If I were to take a job, if I needed to go back to corporate America and take a tech job, I would look for something hybrid where I could maybe be home 2 or 3 days a week, but that I, at a minimum, needed to be in the office 2 days a week. I need that for my mental health and to like really form a connection and a bond with my colleagues. There is nothing better, in my opinion, than getting to know some of the people you work with. You spend more time with those people sometimes than you do with your family and your friends, and you can build incredible, lasting, lifelong friendships and relationships with the people that you work with. Yeah. So I understand this. I understand leaving a job and the emotions that go with not seeing those people anymore. Because especially if you had those really strong bonds and relationships with people and they were a strong part of your social circle and you're not going to see them anymore, it can feel like a breakup or a death sometime. You kind of grieve the loss. So I totally get that. And thank you for sharing that with us. And what techs are you familiar with anyways? So I think you're asking like my tech stack. Well, Vue for sure is what I did for the last 7 years at my last job. And a little bit of Angular, like a handful of Angular projects. I personally love Express. I don't use it often enough. And SAS, I was a SAS user for a long time. I'm still a SAS user. But I prefer vanilla. No Bootstrap, no Tailwind, no Foundation. I've worked on projects with those libraries, but I've never built one from scratch. I've always rolled my own. So the social creature I am, no way I can do remote. That's interesting. And I'm happy to hear some people admit that. I too am a social creature. Like I said, hybrid I think sounds perfect. If I could be home like 2 or 3 days a week and then be in the office 2 or 3 days a week, just to be around people and to chit chat, I just think that sounds perfect. I need to be around people for my own mental health. I need a reason to like get up and take a shower, put on clean clothes and like comb my hair and go talk to people. It's incredibly important for me. So I understand that. Okay, well, with that being said, we are easily over the 2-hour mark and there's like 3 people here. So I think it's time to wrap it up for today. Everybody, have a great rest of your day. Please enjoy the rest of your week. come back and hang out with me on Thursday. We'll start a new project, whatever that turns out to be. And yeah, I love you all. Have a great one. Bye-bye.